Hello everybody, my name is Ilya.
And my name is Tyler. Together we make up Cobre, a couple that loves to play board games.
And Voyages.
Windy Voyages.
Windy?
Well, maybe not Windy Voyages, but for the reasons of this, Windy Voyages.
Wow. Now this is our Check It Out series, and it's a Tuesday.
Woo.
So that means a special episode, because we're bringing you...
Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest, check it out. Check it out.
That was very windy.
Yeah, check it out. Libertalia, Winds of Galecrest is published by Stonemaier Games. It's designed by Paolo Mori, and the art is done by Lamaro Smith.
In this game, you'll take the role of pirates, voyaging island to island, plundering loot. Now, your goal is to have the most doubloons by the end of the game, and if you do, you will be the winner.
Now let's take a quick look at how to play the game.
Now, as always, you'll begin by setting up. You'll place the board at the center of the table. Each player will get 40 sequential character cards, a score dial, and a graveyard tile. Then each player's reputation is randomly determined and placed onto the board. Before each round, you'll populate the loot tokens, 1 per player or 3 for 2 players. You'll then gain the same 6 character cards. So one player will shuffle their 40 character cards, deal out 6, and everyone will find the same 6. You'll also gain doubloons based on your position on the reputation track. You're now ready to begin. The game is played over 3 voyages, and each voyage is increased by 1 day. So 4 days, 5, and then 6 for the final one. Now each day in the voyage, players will select characters and place them face down in front of them. Then simultaneously, they'll flip them and arrange them on the island in ascending order, with any ties broken by the reputation track. So the more reputable you are, the farther you'll go. Then you'll complete the daytime, dusk, and nighttime actions. Now starting from left to right, on the island, you'll do the daytime actions if any characters have them. After you've done that, it's time to go to dusk. Now dusk is done in 3 steps and starts with the rightmost character and moves left. The first thing you'll do is choose a loot token from the day that you're currently on. Now loot will allow you to do various things throughout the game, such as gaining reputation, gaining coins, keeping characters on your ship for the next voyage, or potentially interacting with other players in various ways. Then you'll check if the loot token or your character has a dusk ability and resolve those. Finally, you'll collect the character and place them on your ship, so just in front of you. Once every player has done that, it's time to check for any night actions you have on the players on your ship. Now it's time to move on to the next day. You'll do the same thing over until the end of the voyage. Now after you complete the final day of the voyage, it's time to complete the following steps. First, you'll activate any anchor abilities on your characters and loot tokens. Then you'll update your score dial. So any of the doubloons you've earned from this voyage, you'll update and place onto your score dial. You'll discard loot tokens and characters from your ship unless told otherwise. Now before each subsequent voyage, you'll do as you did before. You'll populate loot tokens, gain the same 6 character cards, and gain doubloons based on your reputation. Now at the end of the 3rd voyage, you'll calculate your scores, add them to your score dial, do a grand reveal, and the player with the most doubloons is crowned the winner.
Will you put together the best crews to conquer the Winds of Galecrest?
So what do you think?
I really like this game. It's very interesting. I like the exact cards that you share amongst everybody. It's that's my favorite part about the game.
I think when I first opened the box, I gasped. Just because how beautiful it was on the cover and just how exciting it is, because this is 10 years that it's been, and now the game is revised in quite a lot of ways. It feels like a completely different game from based on what I've read. Yeah,
we haven't actually played the original Libertalia, but it does give a nice brief overview about what they've changed, and from what we've read about the other game. It's nice to see the changes.
Yeah, I feel like every game we've played as well has been so different because of the characters that you draw.
There's just so many.
Yeah, and the way they interact with each other is so different because varying on what you discard, how you gain this, and the order that is played, I feel like every game we played is completely different.
Yeah, and even though you have the exact same cards in your hand, it feels as if though everybody is still playing their own little game. Even if you end up playing the exact same cards as some folks, which you will end up doing, it does come down to reputation, being able to grab certain loot tokens, and then my crew ends up being slightly stronger than your crew because I was able to like be more reputable or something along those lines. Like I think it's very neat that everybody can have the same 6 cards, but there could be multiple different strategies going on.
And it's interesting how that carries over, because you only play the 4 cards the first round.
time, yeah.
So then you have 2 cards left over, and you know what everybody else has if you kind of remember. So it becomes this big mind game of what are they going to play. Yeah. But on that note too, I really enjoy it because even if the characters don't mesh really well and the combinations don't really work with them, you're all in the same boat.
Yeah, exactly.
Boat. But let's quickly go over a few of the differences from the original game to this game based on our knowledge and our a little bit of research.
Yes, I'll leave that to you.
Well, here we go. So this game has 40 new characters. So the original one had 30, so there's 10 more that are added here. But then the other 3 have been reworked in various ways to really fit the game and fit the balance a little bit better.
Yeah, supposedly some of the cards were pretty like
stronger than others. Yeah, so I think there was a little, from my understanding, all of them have been reworked to at least a little bit of a degree, and just worked with just to make the game the best experience they can possibly be. Now in this game there's 6 cards that are drawn as opposed to more cards. I believe it was 9 in the original game. So I think it limits some of the choices, which I think I really appreciate, because if I had to choose from 9, it'd be really scary. Because even with 6 right off the bat, if I haven't seen any of the games in the first bit, we all just kind of stared and just like, oh, what do we choose? How does this work? So I really appreciate that fact.
They have a solo mode. They've added a 2-player variant.
Yes.
Obviously like a complete rework of the art. Similar theme because you're still pirates collecting loot. But overall, like, it's the same game.
Yeah, and then the reputation track is new as well. So breaking those ties, and it's added a lot of kind of value there too, because based on where you are, you really can strategically think of what you're gonna do. The loot tokens also have abilities as well, so there's a lot of ways to kind of utilize them in strategic ways. So very fresh take. The original designer is still the same. So he worked along with Stonemaier Games to really create this wonderful version that a lot of people have been asking for, and we've had a tremendous time with it.
Yeah, it's been a blast to play.
So why should you check it out?
Well, if you liked Libertalia before this, I think this is an elevated version of the game, in my opinion. Definitely worth checking out. So if you liked the other one, this one's for you too.
I think this game also brings more people into the game, because 100%. Even seeing the original cover, I think I personally love pirates. I've played pirate games of all sorts from the past.
Confirm.
But I think if I was to bring it out, I don't think that would cater to everybody. I think some people would be like, like a bunch of old pirates on this like cover, like and then also like the character cards with all being primarily male, like
some sensitive topics
inclusion.
Come up.
So I think this version is way more inclusive. It brings way more people in, and this is a game that I can show to anybody. And even if they don't love pirates, I feel like they'd be drawn to this game because of the strategy and because of the art and the inclusion in it.
It's got like a bit of like animal, like obviously because most of the characters are animal, or all of the characters are animorphs.
So like they're like part human, part animal.
Yeah, and then like it's got a bit of a futuristic vibe in terms of the voyages as well.
The winds of Galecrest.
Yeah, so it's like pretty neat to just see like that evolution from like an older school genre to what it is now.
The other thing I'll say too is this is a great game where everybody starts at the same page. So everyone has the same cards. You can really devise a strategy knowing what everybody else has and what they might do. And I think that's really clever, because you really do get to think of like, what do you think Tyler's going to play this round? Yeah. And how can I outsmart him with the same cards that he has? And then he's probably thinking the same. So it's kind of like that duel. If you really enjoy games like that, I think this one would definitely win you over.
Yeah, because a lot of card games are very much so where you're thinking about like what other people could potentially have, but you know what everybody else has.
No.
And
if you remember.
Yeah, if you remember. Well, you can look in your discard, you can look in front of you. Like there's a lot of ways to remember. But the other thing that I'll say about this too is because everybody has the exact same hand, it lends itself to a teaching perspective.
Yes.
Because if you have no idea what the cards do or how they work, or you're like uncertain about certain things, it's easy to simply just ask at the table. Because sometimes like people can get uncomfortable with asking because they don't
give away
their information.
Yeah.
Whereas this is like, even though it is slight hidden information, it's not hidden information, and the card itself can be explained like pretty thoroughly just by asking about what does number 29 do?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, with that, why shouldn't people check this out?
Well, this is a very reactive game because you're drawing those cards. Like, every game is going to look differently based on the cards that you're going to get. So, and those vary all the time, and what everybody else varies all the time. So it's very much of a game where you're adapting every single time. So if that's not really for you, then this game may not be the one that is worth checking out for you.
Yeah, and like, even to the point of like, because you do have 6 cards in your hand, there can be a lot of mimic strategies going on. And for somebody who is super involved in a lot of strategy and likes to think through their moves, sometimes that can get like masked by somebody basically doing exactly what you're doing, unintentionally, most likely, but yeah, who knows. But because of that, it lends itself to like a lack of strategy, a lack of differentiating strategies.
Yes. There's kind of only small pathways that you can take to get those doubloons, and everyone's going to see that, hey, that treasure chest is the most valuable, so I probably want to play a higher card, but everybody's thinking that. So how you kind of have to think a few steps ahead, which is sometimes difficult. Yeah,
do you go for the loot? Do you mainly just focus on the cards that you have in hand? Sometimes those cards aren't good. There's no ways to get other cards except for at the end of the round. Yeah.
So many opportunities.
Anything else?
Yeah, I think it's just in that along the lines of like each game is a very similar experience for everybody, because everybody, you won't really have a, oh, you did this really cool thing and I did this really cool thing, because you're all kind of fixed with the same characters. You're all thinking in the same vein, so it's very kind of shared of experience. So if you're looking for some of that more of, oh, what did you do? How does this work? Then this may not be the game for you.
Yeah, it's very much like, oh, I see what you did there. That was like a pretty clever move. Maybe I should have done that with my cards in my hand because they're the same.
Learning.
Yeah. Okay, overall, what do we think?
I really appreciate this game because of the educational piece, exactly like what we kind of talked about earlier, is it's so easy to teach and kind of get people in, but also you see yourself making mistakes and growing almost instantly. Because I remember all of us played this one card that we shouldn't have played, and then the other person got away with just playing it and keeping it this whole time, and then scoring a ton of doubloons over the course of the game because there's no way we could stop him. So I think you learn through that experience, but it's also a shared learning, which is so cool because you see that, oh, I should have done that. I didn't even think about that. And I really appreciate that in games because it makes it much more of an involved experience. And this is definitely a game where you're not playing your own game. You're really bringing everybody to the table and getting everyone engaged as much as possible.
Yeah, and to Ilya's point, like previously, is I think that this game is more inviting and more inclusive than the previous version. It's definitely taken some of what was good in the game and then elevated it even further, which I really appreciate. And then the other thing that we actually didn't talk about is the main board flips over, so you can play like a nice variant versus like
calm and then like a stormy.
Yeah, exactly, which really fits the theme.
Yeah, and the stormy is more take that for sure. You're doing more player interactions that it can sometimes be negative.
Exactly.
And the really cool aspect is it's modular. So you can actually have those tiles and flip like, oh, let's do it calm with this kind of
like
token.
Mild like, winds shifting in the direction of northwest or something along those lines. Like.
Yeah. So there's a lot of variability in that kind of modular aspect as well, which I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so that's Libertalia. Let us know if you're excited about this game. Have you played the original? Are you looking forward to this variant? And what do we have for the question of the day?
I think for the question of the day today is, if you could be a pirate that's half human, half animal, what would your half animal be? And what would your pirate personality be? Okay, so you're half otter, half human.
Yeah.
And what would your pirate personality? What would be your skill set?
My otter. I would definitely be like a navigator.
Not like a shipwright, because you can go under the ship.
I feel like a navigator would be more fitting, because then I would be able to like guide us through the waters based on the currents and everything like that, because I'm so used to riding in the water.
I guess that's true.
How about you?
I think I'd be a half parrot, half human.
Half parrot.
And I think I'd be like more of the entertainer.
The shmee.
I like, there'll be songs, there'll be music, it'll be fun. I'm just there to make sure everybody has a good time when we get the most loot that we can get.
I like that. I like that.
Well, let us know what yours is down below. And as always, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. Let us know any questions you have for Libertalia. The pre-order should be the first week of March, but we'll link that pre-order page down below. And if you have any questions of any sorts, we're happy to answer, chat about this game, because we thoroughly enjoyed it and we would love to share more of our experiences with you.
Exactly. But until next time, this is us getting picked up by the wind and carried away. Bye!